Flanagan Foles won't practice. Still has a calf, getting better. See where he's at by the end of the week. Hopefully improves day to day. Darius Muasau is still in the concussion protocol. Golston has an ankle. We'll back off him today. Everybody else will practice. AT will take more reps than he did last week. I'd say he'll take a good amount of reps today. So see where he is after today, but encouraged where he's at. Signed Jacobs, Hewitt as inside linebackers to the practice squad. Brought back Dalen Cambry. Bozeman to the active. That's where we're at roster-wise. Need a good week this week. Be good to get home for the first game and play at our place for a first regular season game. Expect it to be a good environment. The Chiefs, obviously Coach Reed has been there for a while, been in this league for a long time. One of the more decorated coaches, I would say. One of the more decorated coaches in the NFL, both when he was with the Eagles and with the Chiefs. Go back to the Packers when he was with Brett. Have a lot of respect for him. He's almost over 300 wins in this league, so Super Bowls, a lot of accolades for him. Done a great job with that organization. Matt Nagy, along with him as an offensive coordinator, who's been with him for a while. And then you talk about their offense. It starts with Patrick Mahomes, who is one of the best to ever do it. He's as impressive as a quarterback as you evaluate and watch, both physically and mentally. Loose plays. He's made a lot of plays these first two games with his legs, say particularly on third down, but just an unbelievable awareness, instinct to play this position. He's done it at a high level, and he's certainly doing it now. You add Kelsey to the mix, who's been with him for a long time. A go-to player for him in critical situations. One of the best to do it at tight end as well. Defensively, have competed against Coach Spags a number of times, have a lot of respect for him and the things that he does defensively. And he has some good players that are with him, starting with Chris Jones inside. Plays multiple positions. He's a tough player to block. Trent McDuffie, I think, is a very good defensive back. Does a good job of tackling, covering, playing the deep ball. Bolton and Karlaftis, two good players that are hard to account for. And they're kind of a spin-the-dial defense, if you will. Play a number of fronts, a number of coverages, and have a number of pressures. Have watched a lot of tape, obviously playing against Spags in the past. Watched all his games against Russell, going back to 17 when he was with the Giants and Russ was with Seattle, and then with Denver and Pittsburgh last year. So, and then Coach Taub, again, another veteran coach, special teams-wise, has done a great job for a long time. They do a really good job in their return game. They have two good specialists, punter that can kick it 80 yards, consistent field goal kicker, and they have a number of things that they do, including fakes and things like that on the special team side of it. So they've had two games that have been close games in the start of the season against two good teams, and we're going to need a good, God bless you, need a good week of practice. So with that, what do we got?
Brian, how do you parse out taking the good things that you were able to build on in week 2, but also using some of the anger and frustration of being 0-2 as a motivation and balance that heading into week 3?
Yeah, I think you try to be as consistent as you can, win or lose. Again, there's things that you do well, and you want to continue to do those well. And there's things that you fall short on that you need to evaluate, look at, change if you need to change them, whether that's coach, player, and you get ready to play the next week.
Did the Chiefs being 0-2 mean anything to you?
No. They're a very good football team. They've been that way for a long time, a model of consistency in this league for the past decade plus. A lot of good football players, a lot of good coaches. We're going to have to do a good job of evaluating, studying them, but also improving on the things we need to improve on, and do the things we need to do.
You said on Monday that you review like the 4 phases. I never really heard you use that about coaching. When you were in the film room with the players, do you explain things that you guys did wrong to them, or?
Yeah, I mean, it's everybody's involved in this, Dan. So, we watch a number of plays, we discuss a number of things, whether it's strategy, whether it's technique, whether it's mistakes, whatever it may be, and try to build on the things that, again, that were good, and improve on the things that weren't where we need them to be. And then you move on. Once Wednesday hits, it's full steam ahead against the team you're playing. You put everything to bed, Monday night, if you will, Monday afternoon, and spend all your time focusing on the team you're playing this week.
The penalties were obviously a notable thing last week. How do you go about this week? Like, what do you do this week to try to make sure that that doesn't happen?
Well, I think there's 2 types of penalties. There's penalties that are going to happen because you're playing aggressive style of football, whether that's a technique and a pass coverage, but the things that you want to make sure that you do a good job of correcting throughout the entire season are the pre and the post-snap penalties. So the communication that happens as a play caller, whether it's a quarterback, a linebacker, an offensive, defensive coordinator, making sure that those things are proper. And then the staying on sides, that's a thing for each individual player that they got to hone in on. The post-snap penalties, whether it's hitting a quarterback late, putting a guy on the ground, we got to make sure that we're doing things the right way. And again, it's some of those are physical things that happen in a split second, and we just got to make the right decision on those things. A holding penalty, a coverage penalty, something like that, where it's going to be aggressive. You work on your technique the best you can. You're going to have some of those, but it's the pre-snap and the post-snap that really get you.
So what do you build off that? What did you say to James Hudson, and how much of that do you attribute to composure?
Yeah, again, there was a variety of penalties that happened. Again, the one false start penalty that was called on James wasn't on James, but it was called on James relative to the communication of it. But you just coach it like anything else, Jordan.
With Mahomes, obviously, kind of like KC, the numbers aren't reflective of their resume, if you will. How do you evaluate where he is now based on what he's been doing?
Who's that?
Patrick Mahomes. My question is, how do you evaluate him where he is now, or do you just consider his resume, not just what his numbers say he's doing this year?
Yeah, I don't really focus on numbers too much when you're watching players. He's as good as quarterback there is in the league when you watch him play. He's instinctive. He's accurate. He's got leadership. He's one of the best to ever do it. He plays at a high level when he's out there, pretty much on every snap. He's as good as it gets.
What have you seen from Wan'Dale Robinson this season, and how he's shown improvement?
I think that each year we've had him, he's been first and foremost a very good teammate. He's very smart, can play multiple spots, knows every one of them, has speed, has quickness. It was good for us and for him, the contributions that he made down the field. There's no substitute for explosive plays in this league. They generate points, skip third downs. It's a big contributing factor to the outcome of games. And it was good to see him. He's done it, throughout practice and training camp here. But it was good to see in a game, giving him those chances and him making them plays when he had the opportunity to make them. And he had a considerable amount of them. So he's a player that, very good teammate, and was productive and has been productive, in different areas. Some short, some this was more vertical, but he's a good player.
Balance the coaching staff. You have Andrew Thomas getting more snaps, but you also wanted to make sure Marcus is ready in case he has to start.
Yeah, well, I would say Andrew will take predominantly most of the snaps today, and just if you're a backup, you get the reps that you get, and you take show team reps. I think we do things, again, whether it's a walkthrough, whether it's after practice, much like the quarterbacks do, with guys that improve their craft the way we need to help them improve their craft.
What is the rotation with Banks and Flott in the corner?
Yeah, Banks got some more reps last week. I thought he did some good things. I think Flott's playing good. We'll just do what we think we need to do for each game. Last week, the rotation of it was a little bit different than it was the week before, relative to third downs and things like that. So we'll continue to play both of those guys and keep improving both of those guys.
So you can't see a situation where one guy just claims that spot?
I think it just depends on what we want to do for that particular week. But I think they both earned playing time with some of the things they've done, and they'll both need to help us.
What has been your next step with Hudson when you talk to him after that game to make sure that doesn't happen again?
Yeah, Hud's a pro. Again, there were some things that we're going to have to, talk about and fix, like Carm did, and we've talked with him. I have confidence in Hud. He's a pro. He's a veteran. Again, that was a number of penalties. Again, one of them wasn't on him. It was called on him. And we could do a better job communicating on that spot. The one where he got him in the head. Again, we can help some on the technique things, but I have confidence in Hud.
What if Andrew comes back?
Yeah.
I mean, what does he mean, do you think, to your team and your line and things like that?
It's just you get another good player on your football team.